All right, we are live. Greetings, fellow traders. Let me get this tweeted out so everybody can join in. 1 second. Awesome, awesome, awesome. Well, Merry Christmas, everybody. I hope everybody had a wonderful day today with family and friends and got an opportunity to relax and just a wonderful holiday season. And thank you, everybody, for all your support. And hope everybody's just doing great. Before we get started today, everything we're going to talk about is for educational purposes only and not investment advice. So please take a moment to review this disclaimer. All right. So before we get started here, let's take a look at the market and see where we're at. I've got Apple pulled up right here because I was actually using that as an example. So let's get the market pulled up here real quick on the monthly chart. So actually, the market looks very similar to Apple, but the market right now, SPX, the S&P cash is monthly hammer so far. Bullish, right? The weekly chart this week so far, very, very compressed, right? Very narrow range. Not unexpected for a holiday week, right? It's kind of a traditional holiday week. Although last holiday week, right, that we had, right, last Christmas, right, had this huge move, right, and then that reversal. So we'll see if there's any shenanigans in store and they want to do a reverse of that. But in the meantime, everything is bullish until proven otherwise, right? So let's take a look at the daily chart. Daily chart, look at that, 3 compressed days in a row. And in fact, on Monday, the range was only 5.48 points. That's like a record, right? So I know at least in 2 years, I think 2016 had like a 6 point something point range and low sixes, and this is in the fives. And then we also had that, of course, on an abbreviated day, on a half day on Christmas Eve. So we'll see if there's anything new in store for tomorrow. Right now, the futures are up about 4 points, so we'll see if that carries over. So real quick, let's take a look at where we're at on our geometric chart. Okay, so what we can see is we've been holding this channel, very, very nicely. And so, through 2018 to 2019, right? And so heading into 2020, we have now exceeded this gold channel right here, this macro channel, got over the pitchfork median line, and look at that. It really looks like we are working our way up to the upper pitchfork line, right? So that is something to look at. Again, I've added these pink lines on here. These are our macro trend lines from last December, right? So I mean, the trend has obviously been up, right? And recently here since October, the trend is almost looking like a bump and run right now. So we'll see. And then even the more recently here since the beginning of December has been uptrending as well. So everything is still moving up, but we'll see. Again, the trend is up until proven otherwise. We'll see what they have in store. As we know, contraction likes to lead to expansion, and so we've seen a lot of contraction the last couple of days. So will they expand it up and get to the top of the pitchfork, or will they come back down and test the median line or test this trend line? We shall see. This is the price action on Friday. It was pretty choppy, as you could see. Our 15 orb, right, our opening range bar, that first 15-minute bar, pretty much price was contained in that for the majority of the day. There was some action on some stocks, but overall the market was pretty muted. And you can see here, these are the levels that we provide to our subscribers. Let me get the December levels up. So here from Christmas Eve, you can see they look very similar. That's one of the things that's a little bit tough with levels, right? So they start to get a little bit tighter as the compression gets tighter. So we really have to start to get out of these ranges for things to start getting interesting again. And you can kind of see how the SPX loves to trick people out, right? You can see here it really looked like it was getting ready to go lower, and then of course they give it a big reversal bar right here to get back in this range, test a couple levels there, and then just kind of drift into the end of the day. So good stuff. So from what we have today. We're going to continue our conversation on profitable day trading. This is using the Harry Box, based on Harry Boxer's book, the profitable day in swing trading using price volume surges and pattern recognition to catch big moves in the stock market. And so that was from Wiley Trading. So today we're going to continue that conversation about this intraday trading. We talked about the ascending channels, right, and looking for bull and bear coils, and so and looking for those channels. And today we're going to continue that by talking about bull and bear coils. Okay, so let's pull up a couple of charts here and see what we're looking at. So all right. So one of the recent ones that we've looked at, of course, is Apple. Okay, and what I'm going to do is, since he used the 1-minute chart in his book, I'm going to switch to the 1-minute chart. Okay, it gets a little compressed here, but it allows us to see. Let me add a couple days to this so we can go back. Yeah, that's fine. Okay, so I believe even after we talked about this, I illustrated that, hey, look what Apple's doing, right? It's holding its trend. I'm going to remove the cloud right now. The cloud is always interesting to use. Hold on, so let me, studies, edit studies, remove the Ichimoku. Okay, remove a couple levels here. Okay, and yeah, okay, we'll take this level. I'll just kind of do a nice kind of clean chart right there. So what we have here with Apple is basically characteristic of that upward channel that we were talking about. Okay, so the real question is, how do we look for entries on these? And it can be challenging, right? Just like any aspect of trading. But one of the things I do like about it is that once things start to get going and they form the channel right here, right? We can actually, in the beginning, actually, here, let me remove this here. In the beginning of the day, we see we had a big push up, right? And then we consolidated sideways. From here we can start to see some angles really kind of starting to set up, right? So that can begin to do it. Now, again, you can move the channel up here later, but this was the initial channel top right there, right? As we got to this level here. So once things started to go up and down in a little bit, that's where we start to look for patterns. So here we hit, basically the first part of the channel, second part of the channel, and then what we look is for compression, right? And so that's what he's talking about, these coils, right? This coiling action. So what we can do is use our basic trend lines, right? And just kind of put that on here and show that, hey, this is kind of like a pennant forming across the channel. And once we start to get out of there, we can and things are trending up, we can look for a move to the top of the channel. And that's exactly what happened here. So that was 282.58, and it got to the top of the channel here at 283.65. So over a 1 point move on Apple is a pretty strong move intraday, right? And then, of course, it drifted into the end of the day. But that really helps us find some nice moves. And we can see it even kind of happen again here. We got a little coil back to the bottom of the channel again and got another move up, right? That was 283.43 all the way up to 284. So a nice 50-cent move. So between two setups on one day on Apple, that's 1.5 points, right? So, when you think about that definitely adds up when these things set up. Another one that I saw recently that looked pretty good is Roku. So Roku, obviously had a big trending day, even on Christmas Eve. So we had this, right? So you can kind of see that was your channel forming right here. Can kind of look like this. So you see we had a nice coiling method right here, a nice coiling opportunity here as it kind of got back to the channel and really got really tight in there, right? Kind of held the channel, and then once it started to break out, it got a nice move to the top of the channel. So that was 144 all the way up to 146, right? So a 2 point move off of that. Even the day before, and a lot of times this is characteristic of of this setup, right, is an opening, wedge kind of formation or a triangle formation. So you can see here, this, held really nicely for the majority of the day, right? And then you'd kind of start the channel here once this wedge started to calm down, right? So this is kind of your first pullback to the channel, right? Worked its way up, kind of hung out here, and then what we do is we look for other pullbacks to the channel. We can see that happened here in the context of a bull flag, and also, which I had already, this kind of tight coiling wedge that came back to the channel again and gave another setup move here. Even if it missed the first one, you could see it still continuing its trend, right? And it got here at 138.30 and worked its way all the way up to 139.95. So a nice move there on Roku. So you can see these set up intraday, and it helps us catch these trends without being like really kind of crazed by some of the moves. Now, does it work all the time? No. I mean, here it happened at the end of the day, right? Kind of came back, tested the channel, and once it broke below the channel, that's kind of the signal to get out, right? What I like about this is that, even if we entered here at 139.50 and we took advantage of the 1 point move here, really 139.50 basically came back to 139.18. So you make a 1 point move, and even on a stop out here, right, was basically like a 20-30 cent loss. So it's still a net winner. And in fact, the interesting thing though is that it came back in the channel after compressing in this area, and then ended up working out and actually could have netted even basically on that and got a little bit more at the end of the day. So it's not a perfect setup like any setups, but it is very consistent, and it shows how to stay in the direction of trend. Obviously, he likes 45. This is a little bit less of an angle, but still, it does give a good perspective into the day. And then here, even after a big explosive move to the upside, we can still start to see these channels as things start to kind of calm down and give us new pivots, right, that we can look at and look for fresh S. I mean, here is a great example of the coiling, right? So those are kind of the bull side of things. The other thing that we want to look at is maybe the bear side of things, and sometimes that's hard to come by. But Boeing has been pretty weak in general, right? So what we would see is this is almost the inversion, right? The inverted move of Roku. And we can do the exact same thing with this, right? So instead of starting at the bottom side and going up, we would start at the top side here and look for, let me get the channel up here. So we'd look for a move right here. We'd look for kind of that next kind of pivot level right here, draw that down, right? And then bring it to our levels right here. And we can see, right, that once we got compressed up in this area, right, and we could have even started it in here. Once we got compressed in this area, we see a nice move down. And then at the end of the day, well, this is sort of getting really, really close to the end of the day on a half day. But what we do see here is we move back again, and we got that coiling pattern here to the top of the channel. And once we started to break down, it gave a move down here, 330, from 333.90, ultimately got down to 332 and 60 cents, so over a 1 point move off of that. So you can see it can be used both in bull trending and bear trending situations. So really, really cool stuff. I hope you guys find that helpful. At this point, if anybody has any questions or chart requests, please feel free to plug those in the chat window, and we'll get through as many as we can. We'll try to wrap up a little bit early so we can enjoy the rest of our Christmas evening and get a good night's sleep and have a great trading day tomorrow for those who are trading tomorrow. So good stuff. I hope everybody's doing great. Stacy, Merry Christmas. Thanks for tuning in. Manoj, Merry Christmas. Doc Admin, what's going on? Merry Christmas. IT Fun, Merry Christmas. Paul, what's happening? Merry Christmas. Hoo, hoo, hoo. Thomas, what's going on? Merry Christmas. Doc Admin, let's take a look. Yeah, we got some chart requests here. Good. Lulu, let's pull it up. Let's get to the daily here. Did everybody see that? Let me make sure I was on the right chart earlier. Everybody get to see Boeing? I want to make sure I drew it on the right thing. So with Boeing, in case I accidentally drew that on the wrong chart there, this was the bear move down, okay, from here to here, and you can see when we compressed in this range, we got a nice 1 point move down. Same here, right? I mean, we got another move down as well. So not sure if that came up on the same chart, but okay, I must have had another chart pulled up simultaneously. But anyway, hopefully that made sense. So good, yeah. So let me pull this up on the right chart now. Let me get that out of the way. Let's see. We've got the daily here on Lulu. Let's take a look. Okay, so Lulu's looking pretty interesting. We had a lot of inside days on, gosh, I keep on calling it Friday. On Tuesday, which is yesterday. Gosh, it seems like it's like Sunday or something like that. Okay, so we had a lot of inside days, and so we had a nice compressed move right here. Lulu's been pretty interesting, right? So it's it's definitely working its way up. It has been working its way up. It did break down of this trend line once it hit these recent highs, right? So that does give us a trend box that we're kind of in right here, right? So it's trying to work its way up the trend box to get out of it to get to new highs, right? And so right now it is holding, by this inside day, is holding the prior lows. So let's see if we can get an inside day up and try to work its way up that channel. So right now it's just kind of in no man's land with that trend box. And let's see, TTD. Yeah, so TTD has had some pretty crazy moves, right? And it does move crazy. In fact, it gaps intraday, and it's rather complex to do with options. But if you can get a good run on it, it can certainly move, especially if you caught like that short, or this long, right? And you can see these kind of compressed moves, eventually expand one way or the other. And so, so once we got over these levels right here, we closed bullishly above it, right? We look for moves, right? We got kind of a doji sandwich here. We got a push up over these levels, but look at that upper shadow right there. That pushed us right back down below these levels, or right at these levels here. So it's kind of holding this trend line, or this resistance level, this support level right now, and let's see if it can give us some setups to try to work its way up. Twilio. Okay, so Twilio has been really, really tricky recently. It has we have our macro trend line here. Okay, so our macro trend line has been down. Right, it tried to break out of the trend line here and just couldn't get over these resistance levels right here. We were hoping it would and would give us a move up to the cloud. It didn't. It moved back to the trend line, retested the trend line once and twice, and now it looks like it's trying to. It's getting back in the cloud. Now it's got to get over these levels right here to at least get a move up to the top of the cloud. And if we can break out of the cloud on Twilio and get over these levels, right? So activate that, move that over here, and get over those levels, then we could see a nice move on Twilio, a nice little breakout type move. So that could be pretty exciting. So just keep tuned on that one. Beyond is interesting. Had a big pop on Friday, right? This was one of the ones that moved, right? It tried to break down. We're right at the 15-order below right here with an inside candle. Then it pushed the 15-order up high and then pushed even higher. What I liked about this one too is if y'all remember what we talked about last time, we talked about those low volume ebbs. Right, that's exactly what we saw going on with Beyond on Tuesday, and so what you can see is we had this increasing volume, right, when things started to kind of get really calm right here after this big move up, right, and then we had another thrust in volume back to the upside, and that was really caused a nice move. Now, what did it do ultimately on the daily? Not much, right? It came back in and basically ended up being kind of a choppy day. But there was a lot of call activity on this one, and so they might be trying to push this thing up. It might be maybe a 2020 mover or something like that. But we'll see. So really kind of key levels. You got a little resistance level right here. If you can get above that, that'd be good. And then you got these guys up here that it needs to get above. And right around that area, if it tried to get up there, unless it just got incredibly bullish, you got the cloud. So possible resistance there. Now, if it did get in the cloud kind of bullishly here, then we could start to look at possibly a gap fill and then maybe a move to a couple other gaps in the top of the cloud. So this definitely should be on the radar. So Wendy, bless Christmas. I hope you're doing great. Good morning in Singapore. I hope you had a wonderful time with family and friends. Thank you for tuning in. Sean, what's going on, man? Roku, yeah, let's take a look. Okay, yeah. So Roku's been really, really interesting, right? So this is kind of we're working on a little Elliott wave type stuff right here. Here's your wave up, high to the all-time highs, and we're looking at this kind of corrective pattern, right? So to me, though, it's really interesting. We broke out of this corrective channel. So if this was a wave five, it's tough to say what it's doing right here. It's tested this channel a couple times now, and we'll see really what it's up to. But for the most part, it's holding the cloud. It's holding some support levels, and it had a big day on Friday. We just looked at kind of tracking those intraday channels, and what we're starting to see now on Roku, is it's closing over that recent breakdown level. Right now, it's got a couple levels up here, and then it's got a couple levels here. So let's see how it does over those. Once it closes bullishly above this, right, this could give us a huge breakout move that day, and I want to be there for it, right, to see when that thing really starts to move again. That'd be great. Okay, XEC. So XEC is looking pretty interesting. I really love the consolidation that it's had here, right? It finally broke over it here. This is a nice candle. It had a little resistance at that area there, but it got above it too, right? And so now it's just been trending up pretty nicely and working its way up to the 200-day moving average, which also happens to correspond with this recent pivot high. So again, it's bullish. It's it's kind of plowing its way up. We have a doji day on Friday. Let's see if that turns into a doji sandwich move. Maybe get a little measured move up. Okay, and then Octa. Okay, so Octa is pretty interesting as well. Again, major resistance levels prior were right here, so we're just kind of extending that forward. We're finding that resistance is coming back into play here. It's also interesting that it's over this kind of cloud canyon. Let's see what it does. See if it consolidates a little bit, gets over these levels, and then obviously these guys are next. This guy's next, right, and then up here. So let's see what it can do. Let's see if we can build and start to get out of those levels. Good stuff. Vin, what's going on? Roku? Yeah, let's take another look. Always helps to look at with a different perspective. Yeah, so there's the Elliott wave there. If we go to our default levels, we have lots of levels here as well. But for the most part, right, it closed nicely on Friday. I love how it closed over these levels. It actually had increased volume too, which is pretty awesome for a half day. So it looks like it's gearing up to try to at least test these next level here. If they somehow gap it up on tomorrow, we'll look to see if we can get over those levels and maybe give us a move. So that could be pretty exciting for Roku. Experience and thoughts, what's happening? Hope you had a great time. Yeah. Awesome. Hope you're doing great, man. Experience and thoughts. Okay, so let's see. So we've got SPY. And thanks for tuning in on this holiday. So trending up just like the SPX right there. Really, really interesting. It was different than the SPX. It gave an inside day the other day on a compressed day. Only a 59-cent day. And then even only 62 cents on Tuesday. And so let's see if that compression leads to some sort of expansion. There are some open gaps below, so it could possibly expand to the downside. But this market's been just incredible here as it's been pushing up into the end of the year. And one of my thoughts on this whole thing is that they're probably going to try to keep the market up until the end of the year, just for that window dressing, Santa Claus rally type stuff. And then I think January is going to lead to some very interesting moves. Yeah, so this is great minds think alike. So we just looked at Lulu a second ago. Let's take another look at it. So Lulu is very interesting, right? Here's your uptrend right here. Macro trend line is right here. So obviously the huge macro trend is up, but the recent trend has been up. It tried to break down the other day, and that has just been kind of chopping around in the trend box. We had an inside day on Tuesday, so we'll see if that can work its way up and possibly retest the highs and then shift this trend line up and remove this trend box. So that could be interesting as well. MDB. Inside day, looking a lot like that Okta type thing, the software sector type stuff, right? So it is, Kind of looks some resistance right here, but this inside day, if it breaks out of the cloud, could give a little bit of a move. It has this scene of the breakdown that it probably is eventually going to want to test. So we'll see if it does that. Here's some prior resistance right here, which may, but if this thing starts to go, this might be one to look at for sure. So I'm kind of liking it, and I think we might even add it to the bullish radar. So I like that. If it starts to get going. Nice one. And then of course, Mr. Apple. Apple a day, new high a day, right? So new all-time highs on Tuesday. Almost tagged the 285 mark and is basically just kind of working on this bump and run type thing. So let's see if that trend continues. Great stuff, man. Thanks for tuning in. Oh, and then shop in Roku. Yeah, we'll take a look. Yeah, of course. Why? Let's just go through all the all our go-to list stuff. So shop's pretty interesting, right? So again, big theory on shop, guys. You guys have heard me talking about it, right? So I mean, the last big move up, right, has been this upward channel, right? So which is an impulsive move, starting to break down, which is to me clearly a five-wave down. So an impulsive move down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And so 5, 3, 5 is what you'd expect, right, on a zigzag. So there's your 5, ABC 3, and then you wait for a 5-wave down. And it's like that doesn't quite work, right? Because on a zigzag you'd at least expect wave B, right, or wave C to be equivalent in size to wave A, or at least some percentage of it. But that was so small. So after that happened, it's kind of like, okay, I love the reversal here off the channel and the cloud and the 50%. I mean, that was just a great short area. And then we got kind of like an ABC here. So that to me, it looks like it's working on the flat side, which is a 3 move, an ABC move. On that, and so we're working on, to me, like the wave 5 up. Here's kind of a possible count on here: 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right? And then this could be your wave 4. It could be kind of like a little bit of a pullback, right? ABC down, and we could be working on that final little wave 5 up. And then, in my opinion, it will not get above the 409.61 based on the zigzag rule, not to exceed the starting height of wave A. And so after that, at some point up here, we'll be expecting a major move down in Shopify, whatever they do in the first place. So, and then and Roku, of course, we'll take another look at that. So again, Roku, just to reiterate, beautiful close on Tuesday, increased volume on a short day. It was pretty impressive. So let's see. I wouldn't be surprised if it got an upgrade tomorrow. Good stuff. Alex, what's happening? Good to see you, man. Thanks for tuning in. GDX, oh my goodness, guys! Like these, the gold and the miners and the precious metals. If you guys saw my Christmas video earlier, I talked about JNUG, right? That was one of them too. But what a beautiful close! And look at that, even on a short day too. Huge volume on that candle, beautiful, almost a Marubozu candle, just like basically straight from the open to the close. Huge move, closed over all these key levels, and GDX is looking very, very strong. A few of our members picked that up on the live stream on Tuesday and did really great on that one. So that's awesome. S-Bucks, let's see if we get some follow through on that one. S-Bucks is kind of looking a little bit like gold. I guess it's some sort of black gold with coffee and sugar. But basically we're at these levels right here. So let's see if we can close above it and get out of the cloud here and then move up to kind of these next pivot levels. So I'm kind of hoping for that we could buy the drip there. Beyond, again, still, although it had some great call activity and kind of some big moves, right? It's really, really compressed right here and just kind of hanging out at support. Need to start seeing some things happening on this one and possibly getting into the cloud and moving up. Apple, of course, we just looked at, but always happy to relook. So again, all-time highs, holding trend, right? Not a lot of volume on Friday, but something to keep an eye on. Work. All right, so work. Inside day, really, really compressed right here. I mean, really, honestly, this thing needs to kind of get going, right? It's this macro trend line right here is kind of been tested, and we've been kind of chopping in this area. We're kind of this horizontal channel type thing, right? It really needs to get over these pivots right here, get out of the cloud. So I'd like to, maybe if we can close into the cloud bullishly, we can get a cloud break and get this thing going again, or get going once and for all, right? So CGC, nice. CGC, again, wow, that looks just like it. So anyway, this macro channel down, we started to break out of it, right? Things were looking good, right? Canadian news, like everything's good, pushing out of here, big volume. Oh yeah, everybody's bullish on these pot stocks. And it came back down and just kind of compressed a little bit. It's been chopping around ever since. So we really need to get over a lot of key levels right here. I mean, we got a little bit of resistance right here, right? If we can get above that, get bullish, get out of the cloud, close over these levels, maybe this thing could get going again. That would be interesting. So good stuff. Vin, what's going on? Yeah, Facebook. Yeah, my pleasure. So Facebook, oh my goodness, guys. So Facebook, I think they have a secret weapon on this thing. It's called the Oculus. those things are sold out, like, through Christmas until February, and like they're like listed on eBay and on Amazon for like $1,000, like when they normally sell for like 300, like 399, something like that. So that could be very, very interesting for the next earnings report. Let's see. Let's just kind of keep an eye on that. But for the most part, technically, it's getting kind of interesting right here. Here's one of the things that I found interesting. Obviously, we're trending up right now. We got over a couple key levels, but this major pivot right here was rejected, right, 2 days ago on Monday. We had an upper shadow here, shooting star right off of resistance. So it shows that the bears are still kind of in control of that level, right? So it may come back down, retest kind of this 203 area, may consolidate a little bit. If it gets below that, there's an open gap below, but still, it would basically be coming back to this trend line, and then it may start working its way up for a possible earnings run. So that's what we're seeing there. Phil, what's happening? Roku? Yeah, let's take it. Let's take it. Everybody's looking at Roku. Well, there's a good reason for it, and the reason is this volume, right? Even in a short week, it still has increasing volume and had a big day on Tuesday. So nice close over this resistance level. If they don't upgrade it and gap it up tomorrow, this thing has the potential to make a move over the Tuesday's highs and get up to a couple of these other levels, like that 140, 150, 149, 150 level. So definitely looking at that. Osiris, what's happening? GS? Yeah, let's take a look. GS, Goldman Sachs. Putting a little bit of a bull flag in right here, right? So nice move up. It is breaking down slightly below this upward trend line, but possibly in the form of a bull flag. So let's see if it wants to break out of that bull flag and move higher. Otherwise, you can see I kind of drew this line right here. It may come back and test some of these support levels and then work its way up. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. Wendy, what's going on? Amryn, AMRN. Let's take a look. Yeah, double inside day on Amryn. So let's see if we can get out of this little channel right here. Got a closing gap right here, which is a possible next target. And then if it gets over that, right, it could get to the scene of the breakdown, which would be very interesting. RH. I mean, this is a good one just to look for. Wow, nice close. Not a lot of volume on it, but I think this should go on the bullish radar. RH, absolutely. So let's keep an eye on that one. I love the close that it had there. Let's see if that can get some volume tomorrow and try to work its way up a little bit. That's looking pretty good. PayPal. Gosh, there's some call flow in this one, but it doesn't like to hold up. It has been holding this level for a while. Double inside day. Let's see what it does. As it breaks down, you got the 200-day moving average below. If it breaks out, right, it could get over these levels. It could get to these levels, and once it gets over that, it can start to work its way up to that pitchfork high level up there. Twitter. All right, Twitter into the cloud. Finally, really, really compressed day, inside day, low volume. Right, key is to get over the prior day's highs or Monday's highs, and then see if it can work its way up. Start working on this gap. So I'm liking its position in the cloud. It's starting to look really bullish. D-Dog. D-Dog struggling. Man, it had a big day, big push the other day too, and then just kind of reversed right off of it. So what we're seeing is basically resistance, can't get over it, right? Very, very possible that it comes back and retests this trend line at some point. So I guess kind of overall bearish on that one. In fact, we could actually add that to the kind of the short radar. Okay, good. I like it a lot. What else? Good. Wendy, my pleasure. Thanks for tuning in. I hope you have a great rest of your day, and we'll see you tonight. Manoj, what's happening? Do you think Apple should move down now as it's added some $600 billion market cap in 1 year without any significant revenues and earnings? Well, I guess the only thing it's got kind of going for it right now is its AirPods. I do think, Manoj, I think they're going to just continue to prop this thing up into the end of the year. No one wants to close out their year, institution-wise, saying they didn't have Apple. Right, so they're going to keep, giving it upgrades and doing all this thing to the end of the year. And I think sometime in January we'll probably start to see that move down, right, and start to see a little bit of a correction on it. So we'll see how it goes, and then we'll see what their earnings come out with their AirPods, stuff like that. So see if that helps at all. Manhattan Lad, what's going on? Happy holidays, Twitter and AATWTR. Yep, so we just looked at this one right here. So very, very interesting as it approaches this kind of resistance level. I love this short inside day. Let's see if that gives a pop and a move on Monday, or I'm sorry, on tomorrow. It's Thursday. One of the things that's been really interesting about Twitter recently has been really tough to day trade, right? It gives these big pops at the open and then flushes back down really quickly. So it's like, yeah, this is going great. Oh no, this is not going great at all, right? And then it comes back out. It's like, oh yeah, this is awesome. And it's like, oh no, what am I doing? What happened? Right? So you gotta be really, really careful with Twitter. It's been really funky. But I think if it gives a nice close over this resistance level, we could start to see it kind of starting to bull trend, to the upside. Okay. And then AA, nice gap right here. Okay, couldn't quite fill it. A little bit of an upper shadow at these resistance levels. So let's see if it can kind of creep its way up, close above it. It's got the 200-day moving average right here, which is kind of working its way down too. So just be careful with that. But a lot of upper shadows. I just kind of looking at you see upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow, upper shadow. It just seems to every time it tries to move, they shoot it down. And then it takes a while to compress. Here were a couple that didn't have upper shadows, and then it compressed a little bit. Then it gave a pop, and then they shot it back down. So very, very much trade related things like that. So just very, very interesting. Oh no, you're cool. Oh yeah, we'll do Netflix instead. Oh yeah, that's fine. Oh yeah, guys. So Netflix is pretty interesting too. Double inside day. Okay, so what's really cool about this one is we had a resistance level right here, right? That we geared up, worked our way to, right, and finally got above, right? And then we closed above the 200-day moving average. Next level up was this pivot right here to enter the gap window. Got to it, tried to close bullishly above it, increase volume. Inside day rejected, right? So the bears were like, "Oh, what's going on? Trying to get in my gap, right? Coming in my cave," and they just start, pushing it back down. And so they pushed it down again on as it tried to even get close to that level, and they pushed it down pretty hard on yesterday, on Tuesday, and now we have a double inside day. So let's see what it does. My theory is that it's just going to compress a little bit. We're kind of forming a little bit of a pennant right here. So maybe compress for another couple of days, maybe, right? Maybe it'll come back and test that 200-day moving average, right? And then it'll gear up again. Kind of do its little thing right here. Then premiums will get really expensive as earnings comes up. It'll try to break out there. Then who knows? Maybe it'll have. I don't know how they're going to have good earnings, but they might, and then it might work its way up into the gap. But we'll see. It looks like it's trying to get out of this resistance level, but we'll see how hard the bears decide to growl at it. So good. Well, awesome, guys. Thank you, everybody, for tuning in on Christmas. It's great. You guys are such a great group. Sean, yeah, FCX. Let's take another look. Yeah, so FCX. So again, very, very similar. We had a double inside day, sort of like Netflix had after a nice move. Kind of push down. This is kind of what I'm seeing Netflix might do, and then retest these levels, and then it just needs to break out and get to the next level, right? But in general, the trend is up, right? I mean, for the most part, to prove otherwise, it's in a miniature trend box right here, but here's your macro trend right here. So yeah, it could pull back and then work its way up again. But in general, it's overall bullish until proven otherwise. So we'll see what they have in store for it. So good. Awesome, guys. Well, I'm really, really thankful for everybody, and for thank you everybody for tuning in. And I love the chart requests. Great conversation tonight. If you guys didn't know, I did put out a little bit of a little Christmas special. Just email me at john@positivetrends.com. If you'd like to join our live stream for the next 2 days, for the Thursday and Friday, the 26th and 27th, in the morning, right? We'll just kind of see what we look at the open. Now, look, I'm not promising anything exciting. It is a holiday week, so a lot of traders are on vacation. But at least you can kind of tune in and see what we look at the open. What kind of setups we look for, and just kind of be a part of the group for a little bit. And just email me there, and if you'd like to join in, and we'd love to have you. And anyway, I appreciate everybody for tuning in tonight. And remember your risk first, and stay safe so you can stay in the game. And we'll talk to you soon.